What's up YouTube? Capital G here, talking the Dark Illusion. In this video, we know of a bunch of new cards. Well, maybe not a bunch, but we know of some new cards that are going to be released in this set. Some of these are quite surprising because I just didn't expect some of these archetypes to get any more support, because now you don't really know if an archetype's going to get 1 pack or 3 packs or what. Konami's kind of wish-washy with these newer archetypes. So anyways, this comes by the YG organization and the Weekly Shonen Jump. Let's get right into the cards and discuss them. First up is a Moonlight card for the Lunar Lights. This is the archetype that Serena plays on Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V. They're fusion based, even though they have pendulums, because she was a member of the Lancers, and Reggie gave everybody pendulums except Shun because he didn't want them. But anyways, this is a normal spell card. It says target one Lunar Light monster in your graveyard, special summon that monster. That's effect number 1. Effect number 2, banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 card from your hand, add 1 Lunar Light monster from your deck to your hand. On paper, to me, this card is insanely good for not even just for this archetype, for any archetype, because when you break this down, effect number 1 is essentially a monster reborn for the archetype. Effect number 2 is essentially a Rhoda for the archetype. Like those are limited to 1 cards. Well, Monster Reborn is banned, but Rhoda is limited to 1 card, and even if Monster Reborn was legal, it would be limited to 1. When you combine both of those into 1 card, and the fact is the second effect can be activated in the same turn that the first effect could. Like, this card is crazy. Could you imagine if like Elemental Heroes had something like this, or any of your other favorite archetypes like Performa Pot? Like, this would be something that would be like limit worthy if it was in an archetype like Cosmo, where it was in like a tier, one of the archetypes that's already established as like a really good deck or something like that. You know, and yes, I do get that you have to discard a card for the Rhoda effect, but it doesn't matter because you're activating the Rhoda effect for free. You're just banishing it from the graveyard. So essentially, you're just using it as a Rhoda. So on paper, I would have to think this card's like a guaranteed 2 of, like maybe 3 of. That might get a little cloggy, but it's definitely gonna be run. If this wasn't run in the deck, I would lose my mind. I just wouldn't understand why not. Next up, we've got a Performa Pal Bot Eyes Lizard. It's not a pendulum, which is cool, because they don't need any more pendulum support, even though they're getting more. Dude, Konami really loves Performa Pals, and I don't think that they're stopping anytime soon, because Yuya, the main character of Arc V, plays them, so they gotta keep giving him new cards for his new duels. It's a level 4 Earth Reptile. It's an Earth type. Just based on that, it could already have synergy in any type of Performa Pal deck, as long as it's like, you know, level 4 base, because this guy's level 4. It's a reptile. It's searchable by King of the Pharaoh Imps, and you can use it for an Exceed off of the Pendulum Summon. So, like, a lot of synergy. 1600 attack, 1200 defense. The effect, I'm not quite sure about. It says once per turn, during the turn that this card was normal or special summon, you can send 1 Odd Eyes monster from your deck to the graveyard. Until the end phase, this card's name is treated as the name of the monster that you dumped to the graveyard. So it can copy like Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Maybe if you want to use like, you want to summon like Vortex off of like Odd Eyes Fusion or something like that. Or, I mean, that's like the most practical thing. I mean, there are other Odd Eyes cards, don't get me wrong. There's Odd Eyes Unicorn that's coming out too, so maybe there'll be some synergy there. I'm not sure if this card will see a lot of play. It seems kind of unnecessary. We've got a new Blackwing card. I've been extremely underwhelmed by the new Blackwing cards. A lot of them have to do with the fact that the character from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Crow, he's now back. Well, ever since they went to the Synchro Dimension, he's back on the TV show. So, you know, they got to give him new cards. He's not just going to be running the ones from, you know, 2009 from Crimson Crisis and Raging Battle and whatnot. This is Blackwing Gofu the Hazy Shadow. That's a crazy name. I don't like, what? It's a level 5 Dark Winged Beast. It's a tuner because for some reason, Konami thinks that it's a good idea to make like a whole bunch of high-level Blackwing monsters tuners so that you can go into like, you know, level 12s and shit like he does on the TV show. I don't think it's practical at all, but they're doing it anyways. It has 0 attack, 0 defense, so you're not running over anything with the card ever. Cannot be normal summoned or sent. Must first be special summoned from the hand while you control no monsters. Okay, so it's essentially like Cyber Dragon, but your opponent doesn't have to have any monsters. When this card is special summoned from the hand, you can special summon 2 Hazy Shadow tokens. They're Wing Beasts, level 1, 0 attack, 0 defense. Oh, okay, well, I mean, you can crush card them, I guess. These tokens cannot be tributed. Oh, rip. There goes that idea of crush guarding them out the window. Okay, well, I guess you can't crush guard them. Or used as synchro, or used for a synchro summon. So what the fuck do you do with these tokens? And I don't get it. Effect number 2, banish this card and a monster that is not a tuner from your field and target one Blackwing Synchro monster in your graveyard, which has the same level as the 2 monsters combined. Special summon that target. It is treated as a tuner. There are so many things I don't like about this card. I don't even know where to begin. I don't like that it has 0 stats. I don't like that it can't be normal summoned. I don't like that the tokens can't be tributed. Because what if you wanted to summon this, and then later you wanted to, because this is special summon, you wanted to summon like a Sirocco or something like that. Like, you couldn't do that because these guys can't be tributed. I don't like the fact that the synchro that you're summoning has to be in the graveyard. So like it means that this card is really not that good in the early game. It's more of a late to mid or mid to late game card. So I don't like that either. And I don't know, like why is the synchro that you're summoning treated as a tuner too? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me either. I mean, this is like, I guess, a rank up process. Don't get me wrong, when he played against Shun in the TV show, he synchro like 4 times in one turn, and then he combined it all, he consolidated it all into like one synchro that could like massively or blow up the world and shit like that. But that doesn't happen in real life for the most part, unless it's like Quasar or like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but that card is like really easy to make. I mean, Dragoonity, what? Next up is Dinomists, Anklos. Now, this was surprising to me, or Ankylos, arent, because I wasn't sure if Dinomist was going to be continued. I know that they're getting, I think, 3 cards in Shining Victories. Obviously, their release set was Bosch, and if you look up them on like Dueling Network, you don't really see that many OCG cards. So I was like, okay, I guess Dinomists are done, but it looks like they're going to be getting at least a little more support. I would kind of like more spells. Their new trap coming out in Shining Victories is garbage. Like, it's terrible. It's nowhere near as good as Dynamis Rush. I want some better spells and traps. They already got enough monsters, and I want a better boss monster, because Rex is cool, but Dinister, like, he just doesn't really do offensively. He doesn't really do much for the deck. All right, 1500 attack, level 4 water machine, as the rest of them are. All, I mean, a lot of them are. Let's see, it's a pendulum scale 6 because all Dinomists are either 6 or 3s. The pendulum effect is identical to all the other 6s. If a Dinomist you control is targeted by an effect, you can blow this card up and then you negate the effect. It works good with Dinomist Charge because you essentially blow your card up and then you just add it to your hand and you just replay it next turn. The effect, the real monster effect, is all monsters destroyed by Dinomist monsters you control by battle are banished instead. So essentially, it is not just a Dark Magician of Chaos for itself, but for the entire archetype. This archetype revolves around running over monsters in battle, kind of like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! If you look at the field spell, that makes all your monsters Armates. This card makes all your monsters Dark Magician of Chaos. The Pterodactyl, when it runs over something in battle, it searches any Dynomist card. So, you know, that's kind of the central theme. This card seems okay. I kind of wish the Dynomists, considering that's their playstyle, I wish all the level 4s were like 1900 or something. That it would be more beneficial to a playstyle like that. All right, so we have Shiranui Sage. This is the most shocking one out of all these cards, because I thought Shiranui were done. If you look at the archetype and you pull them up on like DN, or you search the cards, there are no cards in Shining Victories unless I'm mistaken. The archetype's only 8 cards, and I was like, okay, well, I guess they're just done. So for them to skip Shining Victories and then release more cards in Dark Illusions is like, what? That is so strange. So I just assumed that they were just like Arrow Mages or Gradles. I thought that they were just finished after one booster set. Anyways, this is Shiranui Sage. It's a fire zombie, level 4. Effect monster, 0 defense, 500 attack. 0 defense is actually really good in Shiranui because there's a lot of synergy with zombies and 0 defense. There just has always been that way. And just zombies with low defense in general, because of cards like Goblin Zombie and whatnot. It says you can only use each effect once per turn. Effect number 1, tribute 1 zombie type monster you control, including itself, I guess. Special summon 1 zombie type or 1 zombie tuner with 0 defense from your deck. Okay, so that's cool. Let me see. I'm pretty sure that summons the, what's it called? That summons the swordsman guy. Yep, okay, so it summons him. I would imagine you're probably going to synchro summon that turn so that during your next turn you can banish them and you can synchro summon again using the same monsters that you just used. It's cool that you can also summon this and you contribute it in the same turn. I like that because sometimes when I play Shiranui, like you need to get the tuners, and if you don't run like Plague Spreader, you're relying pretty much on Unizombie and just like this guy, and that's pretty much it. And sometimes you can't wait for a Goblin Zombie to die, you know what I mean? Like that takes too long. So it's good that the deck has a more efficient way of getting the tuners immediately. Effect number 2. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished Shiranui monsters, except Shiranui Sage, so except itself. Special summon it. When you activate this effect, while there is a face-up Shiranui blank, they don't know what it is, you can target 2 monsters instead. This effect could be really good for the deck. For starters, it's very easy to banish Shiranui monsters because this one does it from the graveyard, and there's also Swallow Slash, which can banish them from the deck. So it's not really that hard to trigger that effect. And then you just think, if you're summoning monsters if you're summoning Shiranuis that are banished back to the field, then essentially you could just resynchro with them, and then when they're in the graveyard, the next turn you could just synchro with them again. So it's kind of like just like crazy recyclability. So I'm thinking that it says while there is a face-up Shiranui synchro or a face-up Shiranui card, something to that like effect. If it's card, it will be so ridiculously good because then, you know, the field spell and whatnot, like that would be really good. You could just keep this on the field and then you could constantly use that effect, and that would be insane. I mean, then the deck would only be hindered by like the power of its synchros, not by its actual monsters. And then the last card is Destruction Sword Reminiscence. I think I pronounced that right. Reminiscence. If I pronounced it wrong, excuse me. It's a normal trap, and it's Buster Blader support, which is cool because Buster Bladers they're getting more support in the Shining Victories. The Blue Eyes support actually does help them. It gives them it gives them more consistency and more searchability. This card says discard 1 Destruction Sword. Destruction Sword card, special summon 1 Buster Blader from your deck. This is really good because sometimes like getting the Buster Blader can be a little bit of an issue, but now you can search it. I wish that this was a spell. You know, it's kind of cool that it's a trap. You can use it during the battle phase. Just summon a Buster Blader from your freaking deck and just attack your opponent with, like a 2600 monster. But I kind of wish that you could instantly do it. You know what I mean? And it does work with all the cards. Let me just pull it up. I think there's like 8 of them, right? Yeah, it works with every single one of them. Even the ones that are Destruction Swordsmen, they still count as Destruction Swords, just like this card. Like Wizard Buster and Buster Whelp, like they all count as Destruction Swords. So you can discard any of them. And then the second effect is something that I don't think I've ever seen in this game. It says you can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon 1 Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing fusion monsters from your graveyard. So essentially this is a Miracle Fusion, but it activates from the graveyard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but have you guys ever heard of something like that? I mean, we have Miracle Fusions in this game. Like Fluffles have one and Frightful Fusion, Heroes have one and Miracle Fusion, freaking Lunar Lights have one. I forget what their card is, but it's a pendulum scale. But I don't know of any card that summons a fusion by banishing from the graveyard that also triggers in the graveyard itself. So that is really weird. So I mean, I like this card because I like cards with dual utility. I like the fact, and again, this card, just like the first one, it's kind of crazy that you can use both of these effects during the same turn. So think about this, right? You could flip this over. Oh my god, wait, if you can use effect number 2 in the battle phase, this card could be like legit OP. Because imagine you flip this over in the battle phase, you summon a Buster Blader from your deck, attack for 2600, and then you decide, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna banish my other Buster Blader and my other stuff, my Buster Dragon or whatever, from my graveyard. I'm also gonna summon a Buster Dragon Destroyer in the battle phase and attack with that too. Like that's crazy. So I mean, maybe you can't do that, but the fact that you can use both of these in the same turn off of these cards, that's interesting, because Konami is really not about like letting you use multiple effects of one card in the same turn. But I mean, or at least cards when they go to the graveyard, usually they don't let you use, like Breakthrough Skill and stuff like that, Galaxy Cyclone. Like you can't use them in the same turn to hit the graveyard. So it's kind of weird that they kind of lifted that restriction. So let me know what you guys think. I think these cards are pretty good. Thank you guys for watching as always.